coming for you. If you know the words, you can join in too.
Hello and welcome to RP Radio, a weekly podcast about video games and video game related news. I'm your host, Wade Ronspies, and I'm joined by my friends Keegan Ehlers and John Baldacci. On this episode, we're talking about Dragon Quest characters in Smash, Need for Speed leaks, and the Switch selling like hotcakes. Gentlemen, welcome to the show once again.
Hello.
I can't do it. I can't do that. We usually start the show off talking about the games we've been playing. Oh, by the way, Keegan, sound off.
What?
There, that's Keegan. John, sound off.
Hello.
Yes, yeah, that's very telling. But
Hi.
Keegan, why don't we start with you? Because I'm actually legitimately curious about something you've been playing. Because I saw this when you listed this on the doc. I legit went, "What the heck?" Donkey Kong 64. You say you've been playing?
Yes, I have.
Explain to me why you're playing Donkey Kong 64.
So, in addition to the doc, I put that I'm still playing Twilight Princess. So still going through that, still trucking through that.
Is that the
but on
quicker
my Wii
update?
U, that is the quicker update.
Okay.
I'm still playing. We're trucking.
Okay.
But on my Wii U, I have a bunch of virtual console games on there.
I see.
And sitting there right next to Twilight Princess, it just read in big yellow letters, Donkey Kong 64. And I was like, I haven't touched that game in many a moon.
I've actually played Donkey Kong 64, but it was so long ago, the only thing I remember is looking at, like, the water and being like, whoa, this water looks so cool.
My brother and I used to play the crap out of that game back on our 64 in the day. That was like the one game on 64 that I probably played more than anything, which is super surprising.
Yeah, it kind of is. But it makes sense given that the game is just a grind fest.
Oh yeah, it's a fun collectathon. And, Rare's always been good on their collectathons, Banjo-Kazooie and all those other ones. This has just got that Donkey Kong twist to it. And it was tons of fun from what I remember. As I've gone back to it the last couple of days, good lord, it's
not aged well.
It's the camera angles and everything, because it's like nowadays you can analog sticks control everything.
Full 3D movement.
Oh yeah, it's like now to center the camera, it's like it doesn't center. You gotta hit, right bumper to center it, and then you can't move because you move too far. You're gonna go into first person mode, and I'm playing with the Wii U gamepad, and that sucks too. So that's hard
no salvaging it.
Itself. Yeah,
doesn't have like Z targeting or anything.
It does, but it's the left trigger button. So the right trigger is nothing. Every time I bump it, it goes to the pause menu where it's like, oh, screenshot it. Oh, save at this solid point. And I'm like, I hit that probably every couple of minutes, and I just forget about it every time.
See, like Nintendo 64 games, like, is it just me, or do Nintendo 64 games age worse than like PS1 games even?
Not necessarily, because because you can go back and play Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, and I think those aged a little bit better.
I disagree with Ocarina of Time.
Well, I think they aged better than Donkey Kong
64. Yeah.
If just comparing those,
or just like gameplay itself. My issues with Ocarina of Time are more like design decisions, not really gameplay.
Yeah, it's a ride. Like the game shouldn't be as hard. I remember I was trying to walk across a plank for one part, and I did it probably 20 times in a row and could not do it because literally one bump would literally throw me off of it. And I was like, okay.
I had that issue playing Max Payne on PS4, where like it was the PS2 version, and like the controls were just like, it was very much, it wasn't full 3D movement. It was like 8 directional move, like, octo-directional movement, if you know what I mean, where it's like, it's only up, down, left, right, all the diagonals. There's no fine movement. And so when you try to do, like, certain there was a section where it's like, there's a very small, like, beam that you have to get across, and it's kind of at a diagonal, and it's just like, instead of, like, just going that direction on the analog stick, you have to, like, nudge up, nudge diagonal, nudge up, nudge diagonal. It's just like,
Yeah.
So I feel your pain with like those fine movements in old games. It's just like why? This couldn't have been good even then.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I trying to think back when I remember. Granted, we were very young kids when
Yes.
I remember, playing that game, playing on the 64. So it's seemed a little bit more fun then, a little bit harder then too.
But yeah,
Granted,
you got all the time in the world.
difficulty-wise, yeah. So I'm not too worried. The one thing that did throw me off, that really pissed me off, was I was fighting the boss in the first world, and you have to pick up a barrel and throw it at him and hit him in the face.
Kind of
Well, I
like
did that
Donkey
to
Kong.
Yeah, like you're doing it as Donkey Kong picking up a TNT barrel.
Yeah.
I hit him literally to the side of his face, didn't register.
Yeah,
And I was like, "Oh, you're kidding me! This
hitboxes.
hitbox is gonna kill me." So that really irked me. I mean, it's got the little things, and it's got the stuff that a 64 could only handle. Then that really,
Mm-hmm.
they could do the best they could. And the game is, granted, I got a 4K TV that upscales everything and everything like that.
Must
and
be nice.
Looking
Ooh,
like that,
oh.
looking at it on the TV, it's still pretty colors. I guess you could say is about the coolest thing about
My
it.
problem with a lot of like Nintendo 64 games, like visually, it's just so like I don't know how to explain it. It's like visually ambiguous is what I would use, is the word I'd use, where it's just like everything's just kind of like a mess. like looking back now, it's just so everything just feels so thrown together.
Yeah, and it's got the rounded corners. The old rounded corners where Donkey Kong is like, he's got his little tip in his hair, or a little tuft in his hair. It's got that rounded tip and everything like that. And even like seeing King K. Rool, like seeing him in like Smash now in Ultimate,
Yeah.
and then seeing him in like this game, and like his Ultimate Smash actually comes from
Yeah,
Donkey
yeah.
Kong 64, and it's so funny, like comparing. It's like crap, just the difference between it.
I think that's a game that could definitely use a remake.
I would love for
Like out of any game to get a remake, that's one that desperately actually needs it.
I mean, well, it would be sweet. I would pay $60 for that.
I think if they were gonna remake it, they'd have to change a lot.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. It's like if Rare's gonna if they're gonna remake a Rare game, you know what game?
Yeah, I feel like
what game's gonna be remade.
I feel like retro. That'd be something Retro would do. Because they can't really get Rare back because they're owned by Microsoft now. But I mean, they have been like greasing palms with Microsoft. But I don't think it's like to the extent where, hey, make an exclusive game for us. That'd be pretty scandalous.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, seriously, if they remade that, and I mean, not even like a full like remake, I could go with a remaster and be fine with that.
I don't think a lot of people would be fine with that.
No, I don't know. I mean, individually, I'd love it. But,
I think a lot of people are like, yeah, that game doesn't hold up. Maybe touch that up here and there.
Oh yeah.
Like at least make it so you can character swap on the fly.
Oh, that yes.
Just at least do that, and like you could get away with just a simple remaster as long as you just do that. So I think as long as you make it so you can character swap whenever you want, then it'd be like, all right, I'll pay $20 or $15-$20 for this.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, that would have made the game a million times easier instead of having to run back and do all that stuff.
Yeah, just having that shoulder button.
Yep.
Just switch characters. It's that free shoulder button. It's not being used.
I completely agree with you. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing lately.
That reminds me of just talking about like remasters. It reminds me that the original Doom games were just added to modern consoles.
Yeah.
And
that's been
like
a huge deal.
Well, like I was blown away just at the price. Like $5 for Doom 1 and 2, and then $10 for Doom 3, $20 altogether. I was like, ooh, that's spicy. But then there's the whole Bethesda Net controversy where you needed to log into your Bethesda Net account in order to play the game from the get-go, which apparently they're addressing and trying to fix. So,
Well, it wasn't an error in the first place, despite what they say.
Yeah, but it's like it's literally to play the game you need to sign in. So.
Oh no, I know, but like
that's 100% corporate spin. Just like, oh, we didn't know. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's a big thing with like the Epic Game Store too. It's like you have to be online to play a single player game.
Just DRM in general, I think a lot of people have been trying to sneakily reintroduce that,
Mm-hmm.
Because like you don't have to be online to play those games. You just have to sign in, and then you can play them. So it's like, I don't what.
It's the initial you gotta be on, and then you can
Yeah.
do whatever you want.
I saw someone say like, what if I just bought the game, went to someone else's like, or went somewhere else, and then I, started the game, and it's like, oh, I just can't play this now. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, just something worth bringing up. It was in conversation. It's pretty open and shut conversation that doesn't really require a lot of discourse. It's just universally not a good idea. But yeah, I can talk about what I've been playing next.
Alrighty.
Enlighten us.
I platinum Metal Gear Solid 5. The Phantom Pain.
Claps.
It was a very difficult endeavor, but I'm glad I did it because it felt very good, and that game is amazing, and everyone should play it and stop acting like it's the worst game of all time just because it's different from the other games.
Wait, quick question.
Yeah.
What was the last animal that you captured?
Shoot. Oh, I know exactly. I think it was the leopard tortoise.
Oh, that's rough.
That one gave a lot of people a hard time from what I was looking at. I used a guide because there was no way I could figure that out on my own. Because some of them, like that game has so much stuff where it's just like, I think I talked about this last time. Like, how am I supposed to figure this out without a guide?
Yeah.
And the animals are like that to a T. Like, how was I supposed to find this animal? Because what happened, I'll tell you what happened real quick. I got all the animals I thought I needed, and, I thought I got them all, because I went to the animal registry and it said 100%. I'm like, what's going on? I didn't get the trophy. The progress bar still says 99%. Turns out, some of the animals I had on record, I just never caught them. So it's like, at some point, I must have, marked them, or maybe I just, found them in an intel file or something.
But you didn't actually
But I never actually caught one, so it didn't count. And so in the registry it said I had 100%, but in the actual progress bar, I did not have 100%. But all it was is I just had to find the animals that didn't have descriptions.
That's not bad.
And then it was like, all right, just figure those out. But yeah,
it took you another day or two, because I remember I saw you tweet about it. It didn't take you much longer after.
For sure. About a day or two after. The day I think last week's podcast went up was the day I platinumed.
Yeah, Wednesday. I was gonna say, I remember it being,
because that night we recorded. I just went back to MGS5 and kept playing, and then I edited it in the morning. Edited the podcast in the morning, and just kept playing while that uploaded. And it's so good. And I just wanted a quick update on that. I didn't mean for that to take up 3 minutes. It's just so good. The game I started and finished since last week is a game called The Red Strings Club. And this is a game that was offered on Twitch Prime a while back. I had to use it with the Twitch desktop app. And what it is, if you're familiar at all with the game Valhalla, the cyberpunk bartending game, it's a lot like that in the sense that it's a cyberpunk game where you're a bartender. But it's not like a direct carbon it's very much kind of not mini game based, but it's kind of like a Way Out, Keegan, if you know what I mean. Where a lot of the gameplay mechanics kind of just change every once in a while. Where every hour or so you're playing a different game. It just so happens that the main mechanic of the game is bartending, but there's a lot of other stuff you do.
So I have a question, Wade.
Mm-hmm.
So since it has to. Or what was the title again?
The Red Strings Club.
So, me being the weeb that I am, the Red Strings of Fate is what brings to mind with that.
Where'd you learn that from?
Anything? From anime. The Red Strings of Fate deals with every person's connected through another person through the Red Strings of Fate, and each person's tied to another person through that.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's what it was in your name. I didn't get that.
Oh, yeah.
The Red Strings Club. Well, anyway, it's called the Red Strings Club, because it's a game very much based on... It's kind of like Telltale. Whenever you're playing a Telltale game and it says that character will remember that. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of situations like that. Where, when you start the game, you have a list of objectives. Of find out more about this. Find out more about this. Get this person to talk about this. So what you do is basically like you develop threads based on how you achieve those objectives. And so it'll say in the corner, or or it'll like open up options for investigation. So you'll be talking to someone. It's mostly about this corporation who wants to impose this thing that's happening tonight, but you don't know what it is or what's, you know something's up, but you don't know what's up. And so you have these people from that corporation coming to the bar. The main character is an information dealer. And so
Like
what you
most
do,
bartenders are
yeah,
in any game or
Yeah.
TV show.
so what you do, you like make a drink that will get the emotion you want them to have, so you can get the desired answer to a specific question, if that makes
So you're
sense.
drugging them.
Kind of, but they say it's like a spiritual connection or something like that via alcohol. And so it's not like Valhalla where someone will ask for a drink and you make it and then you talk about things. It's, I need this question answered. What drink should I serve them that will make them answer it in a way that will, get the red string that I want? So, some people, sometimes you'll serve them a drink and then ask them a question and they'll just be like, "Oh, honey, I'm not nearly drunk enough or whatever enough for this question." You're like, "Dang, I messed up." But there's a lot of ways for you to like cover for your mistakes, which is nice. So it's like there is the right way to do certain situations, but you can usually recover by the end of a conversation.
So is it like you have to like serve them like the certain drink that they like, or it's just like one drink's more potent than the
So
other?
what it is, it's like there'll be like 3 symbols on like a representation of their like a character model, I guess. Like it's kind of hard to explain visually. It's like it kind of goes into visual novel mode for a second, where it shows that character portrait, and then it shows like 3 symbols, like one on their heart, one on their like just 3 symbols like on one on their head or something like that. And what you do is like depending on what drink you do, it'll like move things in that direction. It's hard to explain. Like you have 4 drinks for each direction. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, so you have 4 drinks that each represent each direction, up, down, left, and right. And basically you have to use those drinks to move like this icon to one of those symbols on their body. And then you serve that drink, and then that's the mood they're now in. So it'll be like, oh, depressed or elated or something like that. And you have to like move things to that mood using drinks. It's hard to explain unless you've played it. But it's just long answer short. It's just like you do give them certain drinks to get certain moods to get certain answers. And it's a very thought-provoking game. It's a very cyberpunk aesthetic. And there are a lot of questions about ethics and morality. And ugh, my throat. There's a lot of questions about ethics and morality. And it's hard to explain because, again, like I don't want to spoil it because it's a pretty short game. It's about like 2 to 4 hours long, and
Yeah,
I
I was gonna
really
say,
recommend playing it just to like see. So because there's a lot of questions it'll ask you that make you pause and go like, "Huh, I don't know how to answer this question." Because like one of your like companions is an android, and they kind of give you this perspective that makes you think about things from like a very logistical or logical point of view. And so you kind of have to justify like it'll ask you something, you'll be like, "No, that's wrong." And they'll be like, "Why is it wrong?" And you go, I don't know, I just know it's wrong." And so it forces you as a person to kind of try to understand why you feel a certain way on a certain subject.
Makes sense.
And I think it's worth playing just for that, just that moral quandary within yourself. It kind of asks you to come to terms and understand your feelings on certain matters. And yeah, and like I said, it's not just bartending. There's also stuff toward the beginning where there's a lot of red strings that you can establish. I don't want, again, like it's a very story focused game that's pretty short, so I don't want to spoil it. All I want to say to end this is that it's very thought provoking. I had a good time. It's very satisfying. There's like whenever you for certain drinks, you have to put ice in the drinks, and you can just like drop the ice in, and it goes bing, ready to serve. It's super satisfying. And yeah, I really recommend. I wouldn't call it a visual novel. I would call it more of like an old school adventure game, a la like Thimbleweed Park or Secret of Monkey Island. Not that adventure-y of a game, because, there's the bartending aspect. But that in the sense of, like, dialogue options. Kind of doing some selection by elimination or whatever. Process of elimination type stuff. So, yeah. Red Strings Club. Check it out. I enjoyed it. It's not a new game. It came out in January of last year, I believe. But it's still worth going back to because it has some very relevant themes. Okay, we're about 21 minutes in. John, you've been playing Fire Emblem Three Houses. No spoilers, no spoilers. I don't want this to be brief, but I don't want it to be too long either, because I understand that it's another very story-focused game with a lot of, like, minor stuff that can potentially be spoilers.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to more hear about gameplay itself. That's actually the thing I'm most curious about in Three Houses, is how it plays, especially with the 3D plane. So what's different in Three Houses compared to Awakening?
So one thing that actually took me a lot longer to realize it was gone was the game no longer well, that's not entirely true. You can't pair up.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was one of the
Yeah.
biggest things in Awakening and Fates was
You build relationships by pairing people up so they fight together and build a bond.
But in this game you can like real late in the game, and it's not real late. I guess I don't know.
You converse with them more in a la like Persona.
Well, yes, but
Instead of pairing up.
still, like pairing up still exists, but it's only like I forget
For
the
strategic
term that they use.
purposes.
No. Like I can only pick a character that is not in the fight to pair up with.
Oh, I see. So like
So
support
they're with-
characters.
Yeah, so they're with you the entire time, but you can't like take them, or you can't separate them out so that they can fight, or so yeah, they're basically just full-blown support characters.
So
And they,
so even if you don't select a certain character for your party, you can still have them involved.
correct.
That's
But
nice.
only,
I really
only like one of them.
Well, that was my
I
biggest
think-
problem with like Awakening and stuff, is that I would have these support conversations way like not doing the story missions, doing the more like the side stuff, specifically to build like character relationships. And they would talk as if I've been using them the entire game. And it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you haven't been in my party since like the mission you were introduced." So, it is kind of nice that they're kind of subverting that a little bit by adding more support options.
Well, and I also feel like support occurs more organically
Yeah.
in this one, because like I don't think there's a single because I really have I've hardly strayed away from my my class.
Well, it's a smaller
But-
group too.
Yeah, but like support, you gain support if anyone is like in your vicinity. So it's not just like the person standing next to you. It's like, okay, well, 3 people attacked this guy, and even though the bowman was way back here and attacked them, I still get support with the bowman.
You don't need to specifically hit
Stay
pair
next to
up
them.
so
Yeah.
they can do it.
So like all these support conversations, I don't think there's a single person in the party that I haven't at least had the first and or second
That's really nice.
conversation with.
That's really good to hear.
But,
No ludonarrative dissonance here.
Yeah. But the game's great. I think it's going to take, and I'm probably, unless I like for some reason to get really bored of the game, I'll probably do the multiple playthroughs. I've heard there's 4.
4.
Crap.
Yeah, so there's 3 houses, and then there's one that's a secret.
Ooh. Can you only get it if you've beaten the game?
No, You
Oh.
can
You just have to know how to
on
get it.
Yeah, and I think I figured out. Okay, it's not a spoiler really.
I don't know
But
if we
it's-
should talk about this.
Well, it's in one specific class. I'm not gonna say the class that I'm in, but there was like a conversation that occurred, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is the fourth ending.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
this is what could lead me to.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so
Is the dialogue
Uh,
good?
yeah, no, I think the story is fantastic.
Mm.
I know a lot of people don't like English voice actors, but I think it's got a strong cast. The one thing
Well,
that
they recast
annoys-
the main character.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say that.
But
Has
that was like,
come through yet?
It hasn't happened yet.
I mean,
Okay.
like, the guy himself, like, was like, yeah, I break NDAs. So it's like, yeah, maybe, nah,
The
bye.
thing is,
And I believe he broke the NDA for Fire Emblem as well.
you can't customize what the character looks like.
Yeah, that's a bit of a
And-
bummer.
Yeah,
Were
that's
you?
the one
Was that
thing
what you were
that-
about to say?
Was
Yeah,
weird.
so I'm kind of getting to it. I feel like the
Mm.
character should talk more. The main character should
Yeah.
talk.
If you can't customize them, they should be more of an actual character.
Yeah, because like no matter what name you choose, they refer to you as Professor.
Yeah.
And you can't change because the reason that you can't change the way they look is they have anime cutscenes. and
Yeah,
videos
exactly.
in
They
the
want those
cutscenes.
fancy.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had those in Awakening too, and they just
Yeah,
shot it
but
from
they
like
never
first
show-
person.
Yeah, they never showed the character's
Yeah,
face,
it's still it can
so-
still work.
Actually, I can relate to that. In Sword Art Online Hollow Realization, I changed my character. Different name, different character model, but in the cutscenes, they all refer to the main character, who I
Yeah.
named Zeldred. They all refer to him as Kirito, and every time they have like the actual like cutscene, it'll show Kirito. It
Yeah.
won't be. The
It's
guy
like,
I
why even
created.
bother letting me customize the character if you're just gonna take it away?
Mhm.
At least it,
There's
but
just-
yeah,
There's some things that I'm like, there was a certain cutscene that I'm like, man, if only he could talk.
yeah. Well, like,
And instead they have him silent, and they try and like play it off like, oh,
Well,
this character
yeah.
doesn't have a lot of emotion.
yeah. In Fire Emblem Heroes, they added the main three houses characters, including Byleth.
Yeah.
And they always talk about Byleth of just like, yeah, she's just kind of there and blank and doesn't really. And they're like,
Is it-
you have conversations with Byleth, and she's like, everyone thinks I'm like this emotionless sociopath, but I have feelings, I just don't express them.
Yeah.
It's like you talk more in Heroes than you do in Three Houses, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
Is it kind of
Probably.
like the silent protagonist like Link, where basically he just,
Like-
obviously doesn't do anything?
Yeah,
and it's,
characters
like,
react to
his
things they're
emotions are-
saying, but you don't actually hear them talking.
Yeah. So like
Okay.
I choose like the dialogue option.
Yeah, it's like
And-
Persona.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, exactly like Persona. And like he'll have I am playing as a male character, but he'll have his quips in battles and stuff like that. So you still hear him talk, but it just feels out of place from time to time because I'm like, should like I don't know. That's like my only real gripe with the game though. It is fantastic.
Yeah, I have one last question. I want to wrap this up before we get into the news.
Yeah.
Try to answer this quickly.
Uh-huh.
Like, but you can elaborate, but I want this to be relatively quick. Do you think this game is a GOTY contender?
No.
Oh, I was not expecting that
Personally-
answer.
Personally, yes. But overall, no.
Ooh, you care to
I think
elaborate
it's
why?
I think it's going to be
Nominated either way.
It might be nominated, but
I just don't know
think
what
it's
else
just,
this year. I mean, like,
Mortal Kombat.
well, like
um,
Resident Evil 2, Death Stranding will probably be nominated, assuming it's good.
Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry. Yeah, it's like I could totally see Fire Emblem being nominated for a bunch of stuff.
I mean, really, you got to think about what's coming out too. Like you said,
And
Death
And it's
Stranding,
being very
obviously.
critically well received. I see a lot of people on Twitter who I didn't think would like Fire Emblem
I-
be like, "This is my
I-
game of the year."
I just think it's going to suffer from the fact that one,
It's anime.
an anime game,
Yeah.
and two, it's a strategy game.
Yeah, it's kind of like why fighting games never win GOTYs. It's like, it's just kind of. I mean, they used to back in the day, but nowadays it's just like people just like this, and it's very good at what that is. But that doesn't mean
Yeah.
everyone. Like GOTY should mean it's something that everyone has to play.
Yeah, and I also think, and I feel like I've hardly experienced a thing in the story, but like, I feel like a lot of the story is, and this is like no, well,
Let's just wrap it up.
spoiler.
Let's just wrap it up.
It's just the story. It feel like some of the things are going to be super predictable, and I'm gonna like be like, oh, I called that, and then it'll happen, and I will be right.
Well, it's probably gonna be my goatee by the end of the year.
I mean, it's great. It's fantastic.
Well, no, Death Stranding. I'm just gonna call it. That's gonna be my goatee. But Fire Emblem. I'm excited. I just really want to play it, John. Like, I just really want to play it. But that sounds all well and good. I recommend playing the Red Strings Club. Donkey Kong 64 is out there. But let's talk about the news. Oh man, I just realized I'm not writing down timestamps. Oh well. I could figure it out later. All right. So the news, a lot of news broke today, actually. We're recording this on Tuesday, July 30th. This will go live on the 31st. A lot of stinking news came out today. Not like big bombs, just a lot of like, ooh, that's interesting. The news that I think is most relevant to me, aside from Gran Turismo Sports update, which adds the Civic Type R, which I'm very excited about, and that's all I'll talk about for that. You know, I'll spare you the details.
Cars.
I love Gran Turismo Sport, and so whenever they add anything, well, it's not just the cars. They're also adding new stuff in the Scapes mode, and they're also adding new single-player races. It's not just the cars.
A car.
Then you'd probably like Gran Turismo. But speaking of car games, Need for Speed was this year's 2019's Need for Speed game was leaked by an Austrian. I thought it was Australian retailer. Need for Speed has not been announced. It's coming out this year, but it has not been announced yet. Presumably, it's going to be announced at Gamescom. But regardless, the title was leaked. It is called Need for Speed Heat. Now, the reason I find this title interesting is because in context of car chases, what do you think when you hear the word heat?
Cops.
Exactly, Keegan. That was exactly the answer I wanted. Thank you. John, what would you have said?
Probably cops.
Okay, just checking. But yeah, Need for Speed is very well known for its cop chases, very popularized in Most Wanted specifically. They've existed before that, but Most Wanted, like Hot Pursuit, but Most Wanted is the game that's very, when you think about Need for Speed cop chases, you think about Most Wanted.
Wasn't Most Wanted the first time you could actually be a cop or something like that?
No, in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 on PS2, you could play as a cop.
Okay.
I believe that was the first Need for Speed game with a cop. I feel really proud of myself for knowing that.
Right.
But showing up. Yeah, was Hot Pursuit 2? Was it Hot Pursuit 2? Yeah. It was the one with Uncle Cracker. Get down,
Sure.
get on down on it. It had the Lamborghini and the Ferrari in the opening video.
Yep.
So even if I'm wrong and it's not Hot Pursuit 2, I know which game it is. But yeah, what the title implies to me isn't that you're going to be playing as police. I think it's saying, hey, we're doubling down on this. Because Payback, the cop chases in Need for Speed 2015 were solid, but pretty underwhelming. If you could outrun, all you needed was a fast car in a straight line, and you could probably outrun the cops on pretty much any heat or any wanted level. Payback was just so bad. Like, the cop chases were all scripted. They weren't dynamic. And so you had to follow a specific path so they could ensure the most cinematic of cop chases. And it's just like, this isn't why I like cop chases in Need for Speed. But yeah. Payback had a lot of its own issues. I think that game was focus tested to death. You know, I think Ghost just didn't really have a specific vision. They wanted to do everything at the same time. They wanted to be Fast and Furious. They wanted to be Need for Speed Most Wanted. They wanted to be something new. They wanted to take lessons from Forza Horizon. They wanted it to be able to have microtransactions. And you put all this together and you don't get a good game. It has some good elements, like any Need for Speed game. At least the core foundation is solid. The gameplay itself feels good. But the fact that the title of the game is directly referential of police has me hopeful. What doesn't have me hopeful is that they've waited this long to announce it, because that's kind of like usually not a good sign. You know, if
Not
a game
necessarily.
is for a AAA game on the level of Need for Speed, one of EA's top-selling franchises, it's a
Would you
little
say-
concerning. It's a little
Honestly,
concerning.
though, I wouldn't say Need for Speed AAA anymore.
Yes, yeah, it is.
You'd think they still are?
Yes, it is
I mean, I would
EA's
say at least
best-selling.
double.
It is the top-selling racing game franchise of all time. It is one of EA's pillars of their financial strategy. It is a big, big deal. It just doesn't feel. It just doesn't feel like it.
I just haven't heard like anyone except for you bring up Need
Exactly.
for Speed in
But,
years.
but the
actually.
thing is,
Yeah.
the thing is, John, I thought the same thing. But then my Need for Speed Most Wanted video continues to get like 2,000 views a day. So it's like
Nice.
I equated it. No, I mean, humble brag. But
Plug, go watch his Need for
forgive
Speed
me
video.
from getting political, but I describe Need for Speed fans a bit like Trump supporters. You never see them, and then they just show up out of nowhere. And so I'm moving on from that
Do we
analogy
want
because
them to or not.
yeah, I'm moving on from that analogy because I don't want. That's just, you know, whether you're whatever, wherever you are on the political spectrum, you can agree with that analogy. People just show up for Need for Speed out of nowhere. So even when it doesn't seem like people like Need for Speed that much, they just show up. Oop, bump the mic.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I
agree
would
with
call
you.
it AAA. And like
I mean-
visually, it's running on Frostbite and it has a big budget, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
AAA.
I mean, yeah, but really, when you come up with it, you know, you're a big car game guy.
Yes.
Compared to John and I.
Yes.
I know for sure myself.
It's just where I
John,
cut my
Don't
teeth.
really know too much about you, but I'm pretty sure you're not really too much in racing games. But I mean, really, the only racing games I've ever really played were the old Need for Speed games. You know, back in the day on, 360, and I remember my brother and I playing them on, PS2. And everything
PS2
like
was the
that.
golden age for sure.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, those were the games that I really, the only racing games, I remember watching my brother play.
It was
and,
Need for Speed Most Wanted and Gran Turismo 4. Those were the two racing games everyone on Earth had.
Yep. And yep, I just remember it's like, the first time you get that first like Honda or whatever, and then it's like
So
the
what
first
was
time
that?
you
Could
put
you repeat
NOS
that?
in it. The first car they give you is always just
Oh,
some
yeah.
lower end piece of crap.
Chevy Cobalt SS.
Yeah, just something like low end that's like, oh yeah, you can beat like the
Cool
initial,
car.
it's like
But
yeah, and it's like your first like major car that you buy. But anyway, yeah, back to like the title with it being Heat. I'm excited to see what they have in store for it.
yeah,
I'm
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I want them to lean into the cop aspect of it, kind of like you were saying, but I don't
Mhm.
want them to be, like you said, where it has to be set up. I
Yeah.
want it to be where it's like it's gonna be hard to get away from the cops.
It needs- well, The thing, I want to move on, but the thing, I just want to end on saying, the thing that this Need for Speed needs, the thing that any Need for Speed needs, is focus. It needs to focus on what it wants to do well. You can't try to please everybody, or else you'll end up pleasing nobody. And that is especially true in the case of Need for Speed Payback, so I really hope they learn their lesson from that, and they deliver a very focused product, focused on making those cop chases as good as possible. At least as good as Need for Speed Most Wanted. Heck, you could just take the copy and paste the mechanics from Most Wanted, including the AI, and just put that in this game, and that will be good enough. Because that game holds up. But yeah, that's all I'm saying. I love Need for
Force
Speed,
focus.
and I want to see it prosper, and it hurts me to see it as Payback.
I just want you to acknowledge the fact that I've said focus.
What? You said what?
I've said Ford Focus multiple times.
Oh,
You said
I
it means
haven't heard you say this.
I never heard it. I drive a Ford Focus.
Four times.
For
That was my
for
brother's
reference,
first car.
the car I drive is a Ford Focus, and I love it, and I never want to get rid of it. But yeah, moving on. Today we saw that Masahiro Sakurai, director of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Nintendo of America, tweeted out that the Dragon Quest hero, because there's 4 of them, so you can't really say it's the Dragon Quest 11 hero or whatever, even though he's
Is there
included.
4? I thought there was more than 4. I thought there was 5.
There's 4.
There's 4.
There's the
Okay.
Dragon Quest 11 protagonist, the Dragon Quest 3 protagonist, the Dragon Quest 4 protagonist, and the Dragon Quest 8 protagonist.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably 8 because people like 8.
Yeah, people love 8. It got that 3DS port.
Which
but
one's
yeah,
the fish one?
the Fish Boy is 4.
Okay.
Spiky Hair is 3, and then
Alright.
pirate looking dude is 8 because that's
Okay.
that whole game is
Yeah.
very pirate aesthetic.
Yeah. 8's like the most iconic to me.
Yeah.
Just from like knowing Dragon
Most
Quest.
most people say that like if you're gonna play one Dragon Quest, you play 8.
Yeah.
They should port that to more things. Anyway, it should be coming to Smash Bros. It should be out now. If you're listening to this, it should be out now. It's not out as of time of recording this, even though it's late in the evening, and they said it was coming out today, July 30th.
Yeah, I
but
literally just checked.
but I think that was more just them being like, it'll be out at some point after we make this announcement.
More so, yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing as it. It seems pretty overpowered from what I've seen, but it's a DLC character, so that adds up.
Sword fighters are usually pretty good when it comes
Yeah,
to Smash. Granted,
and,
I'm
like,
a sword fighter,
I watched
so-
the 20-minute video, and he said that he wants the hero to feel different to all the sword fighters. He wants them to feel more fast and aggressive than
Okay.
all the other sword fighters. And so, and like, there's that added bonus of like having all the magic. Dude, the magic stuff is pretty wild. It's pretty.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
It's pretty
I'm
deep.
excited to see how that's, really kind of watching the pros.
I can't wait for Evo because I want to see this character. Like, I really want to see. Like, I know if you're going to Evo, you've probably already come to terms with a character that already exists.
You're
like,
going to be locked in.
like
with your-
already, Joker would be a stretch. I'd be very surprised if someone had Joker. Because like
I can see someone
like crazy.
Yep.
exactly, but like even then, like people just learn those characters so well. I would honestly be surprised, even though Joker's been out for a long time, if someone was using Joker as their main. But I really
You'll see
think
one person get far as Joker. You'll see
Yeah.
one person make it, farther than you would expect, but then you'll see.
I mean,
the
if we see Joker
regulars.
at all, but he's OP,
I could
so
be
it's
wrong, but I feel like I've seen people already like,
What if it-
win
yeah.
tournaments as Joker.
What if it's like Bayonetta and literally every single person is Joker? I wouldn't even be mad. I'd be like, hey, Persona, cool.
Too bad Bayonetta is not good in this one.
Yeah, but maybe because Evo is soon, I believe. So maybe we'll see some people playing as Dragon Quest Hero. But I don't know.
think it's like in a week or two. So
Yeah,
probably-
because I've seen some people tweeting that they're in Las Vegas right now.
It's
for
early
Evo.
August.
it's in Vegas,
yeah.
and
I've seen some
They're
people
fighting
tweeting that they're in
crickets right
Vegas
now.
for Evo right now. So,
yeah, they're fighting crickets.
dude, Tekken, Tekken is the game to watch at Evo. That is so fun.
Didn't Smash get the final spot? in
Yep,
Evo?
they overthrew
That's
it
its premier
from.
thing this year.
This is kind of different news, but yeah, it overthrew
Oh.
Street Fighter V for the final spot in
Yeah.
Evo.
It starts Friday. No way. Dragon
Hey,
Quest
my
starts
B day.
Hey, you never know, but yeah, Tekken, Soul Calibur is going to be there as well, I believe.
Oh,
So like
Soul
Tekken and Soul
Calibur is
Calibur are the games to watch at Evo. I'm calling it now because last year I watched the Tekken tournament. So much fun, so intense. Never picked a favorite, but had a great time every single match. Ooh. And the Street Fighter V part was pretty fun, but that Tekken, that's good stuff. Anyway, one final story before we move on. Let's touch on this quickly. The Nintendo Switch has sold around 36 million consoles, right? 36 million?
Yep.
And the PS4 sales have just reached over 100 million, putting it on track to become, I believe, the second best. If this trend continues, it'll be the second best-selling console of all time, behind the Wii.
PS2.
Or PS2,
No,
my bad.
PS2, yeah.
It's
There's
PS2, Wii, now PS4.
I mean, if you include the DS, the DS has, I
I
believe.
don't think the DS has that sold.
I'm pretty sure it includes. everything.
I'm talking out of my butthole. I don't know. All I saw was people saying it's on
It's
track
up
to be
there.
the best-selling home console, one of the best-selling home consoles ever. So maybe that's where I'm getting my weird numbers from.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
It's-
man, the PSP and
it's
the
up
DS sold like, and the Game Boy.
Yeah.
But 'cause
It's-
I believe the Game Boy sold like 89 million, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
but
I don't know,
anyway.
it's getting up there.
How about I tell you this? IGN or
Real quick, because we got to move on to the main topic.
PS2 159 million,
Okay.
DS 154,
Ooh.
See.
Game Boy 119 almost.
Oh my.
PS1 102.
I knew PS1 was up there.
Wii 101.
Now
PlayStation
PS4.
4 100.
Yeah.
So-
So, PS4 is in 6 right
In
now,
terms of
so,
home consoles, it's up there, but
Yeah, within the next year, and with
man,
the
it's
PS5
crazy that
probably
the
not coming out.
PS1 sold that well. But it was a
Yeah.
CD player. It was the same reason PS2 sold well. It was a
Yeah,
multimedia
CD
player.
players. Yep.
So like the PS2 sold super well because it was a cheaper DVD player, and
PS3
PS1 sold well
well.
because it was a game console and a CD player.
PS3 sold well because of the Blu-ray disc.
Well, it didn't start selling well until after the price cut, but I
But it
digress.
was also
it ended up
was
overtaking the
also-
360, which is crazy.
Yeah, it did.
It was just so far behind, and then in like the span of 3 years, just
Well, it had that problem at launch.
well, it was just
It had
$600.
Yeah.
That was the problem, and then it became $300. It's like, oh, this is much more agreeable, and it has Uncharted 2 on it. All right. Speaking of Uncharted, oh my God, that was a great segue. I'm patting myself on the back. That was unintentional. I've been playing Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy. Platinum Lost Legacy. Currently trying to Platinum 4. 4 is much longer. But it got me thinking. I was talking to while I was playing Uncharted 4. Uncharted is probably my favorite franchise in gaming. I was talking to a friend, and he was saying, like, man, I'm just not in the mood to play anything. Like, I don't know what to play. And I said, like, maybe it's just time to not think about new releases and just go back to some old favorites and remind yourself why you like what you like. And that got me thinking of just like, well, with all these great new games coming out, even if you wanted to go back, should you? Like, do you have time to do that? Like, if you're busy, like, if you have a full-time job and you're busy all day, like we are, like us three are, we're busy most of the time. And you only have so much time in the day to play a certain game. Do you really want to go back and play something you already played, or do you want to play something that's brand new? So I open this question up to the panel. When is the time to return to old favorites? When is it time to replay something you already know you like instead of playing the new hotness?
Honestly, for me, I mean, granted, I've been playing Twilight Princess, so
Yeah, you're a pretty good
I
test
mean,
case.
mine's like a nostalgia trip most of the time, where it's, I love new games, especially when it comes to a lot of my, top franchises. I love playing the new ones. I love going back to an old game though, especially before a new one comes out, getting ready for it, kind of.
I used to do that with Assassin's Creed.
Ones. Yep.
Every time a new
it's-
Assassin's Creed came out, I'd play through all the other ones first.
Yep, it's a fun nostalgia trip, to go back. Or there's also just some times where it's like I'm thinking, I'm like, man, or like I'll see something where it's like I'll see like an icon or something on Reddit or something like that.
Yeah.
And it'll bring up like oh crap. I'm
That's
like,
me
I
with
haven't
Hotline Miami.
watched that.
Anytime anyone brings up Hotline Miami, it's like, I gotta play Hotline Miami right now.
Wait, play Hotline Miami. It's a good game.
I actually recently replayed Hotline Miami 1 because it was on Game Pass PC, and I just played through the whole thing in one go. It took me like an hour because I already I've beaten it like 5 times.
Yeah.
So I was like,
also there's that though too. It's like, Hotline Miami. It took you an hour to play through the entire thing.
Once you know what you're
that's an
doing,
hour.
it goes by a lot faster.
Yeah.
Instead
Yeah,
of
so
a whole week, it maybe takes you like an afternoon or two.
yeah, really, my favorite game of all time is Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic 2. That's
2?
That's
That's a
I
hot
like it better.
take.
Yeah, I like
That's
it
a
better
bold
than 1.
position. Ooh, Obsidian
Uh,
hype. Outer Worlds coming to
oh.
Switch.
Hey,
Made by Obsidian.
favored my tweet after I tweeted at them.
Dude,
for,
Obsidian is so
thanks
good.
for making my favorite game.
Obsidian
I
is
try
so
and
good.
actually make that a thing to where I try and play that game at least one playthrough a year.
Ooh, I like that.
Mainly because it's just it's that got that RPG element that I love. It's one of my
Mhm.
favorite genres to play through.
Mhm.
It's got that pre-build to Mass Effect. The games that I love through that really
Mhm.
perfected that Obsidian or BioWare really perfected with
Yeah.
that. So it's and it's just my favorite game. So it's where I'm sitting there. All right, you know what? I'm gonna go through because, like you said, I know what I'm doing,
Mhm.
so I can sit here and get through and beat the game in a week to where I remember the first time I actually did beat it. It took me well around a month, but then I remember I'm looking at the timestamp. It's like, oh, it only took me 22 hours in game time, but it felt way longer.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's now where it's just like, you know what? I know what I'm doing. I can jump back into it, and it's where I'll probably get away from it for a new game, which I'm sure most of you guys do too, where it's you play an old game to pass some time or something like that. But if I leave, I can come back and know exactly where I'm not losing a beat because I know.
Yeah. Wind Waker is a game I know like the back of my hand, where I can just fly through it on autopilot because I've played through that game so many times. And like I love games like that also, because like having games like that, because you know what all the best parts are. And so you know how to like make your own even though you're replaying it for whatever amount of times, you know exactly like the cool stuff that reminds you why you like the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh, like there's this like Uncharted also is like there's this little thing in the gameplay that I love, and I know how to do it because I'm amazing at this game now, or something like something like that.
Yeah,
like this little thing that makes me satisfied.
It brings back, like I said, the nostalgia trip. It brings back that, oh, this is why I love this game. And it's like that's why it's just you feel good.
I try to play through at least one Uncharted game every year.
Yeah,
that's kind of my thing. Usually Uncharted 2, because that's my favorite one. But oh my god, Uncharted 2! Oh my god.
John, do you have much to add?
I was just kind of letting you.
I don't replay games. I only play the new stuff. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
No,
I just keep playing Minecraft.
Minecraft's so good. Don't talk crap about Minecraft. I get back.
Are you gonna talk about Kingdom Hearts?
No,
Okay.
I have played that series like 50 times, but
that's why I asked.
no, that wasn't real. I was gonna kind of bring up Secret Mana,
Yeah.
Mario RPG, 7 Stars specifically, and I used to get back to them very frequently, but lately I just haven't had the motivation, or just I'm like, well, I want to play this and this. A lot of how I play games just in general anymore is, man, I really want to play this game, and I play it for like an hour or two, and then someone talks about Breath of the Wild, and I'm like, all right, guess I'm playing that.
Yeah, it's kind of a mood thing.
Yeah, so,
well, just more of like a... Yeah. I know what you mean.
There are times where it's like, man, I really want to play a video game, but none of what I have works out for me right now. So then I go and I jump and play Secret of Mana, where I can, the first time I played that game, similar to like what you were saying, Keegan, I felt like the first time I beat that, well, I actually, oddly enough, for it being my favorite game of all time, at least top 3, I didn't beat it for the first time until, a handful of years ago. And the biggest thing is that my Super Nintendo is garbage.
It's all yellow. I've seen it.
It's all yellow, and in order to keep the power on, you have to have something holding up the power cord.
Yeah.
And if someone knocks or hits it, or it moves slightly, so you pull the controller just a bit too far or whatever, it powers it off and it wipes your game.
Oh no!
I actually, keep going. I'll just have some.
I've probably played Secret of Mana about 30 times
because of that,
and have only beaten it about 3.
Well, now it's on Switch.
Well,
the original version.
I have it on my SNES Mini. So
I forgot that was included. Well, that actually brings me to what I was going to say. As I was watching Game Attack, they were playing A Link to the Past on a SNES Mini.
Yeah.
And they were like not a decent chunk, maybe like an hour, like 30 minutes to an hour in. Mm-hmm. And then like they had like a power surge or something, and it just like reset the SNES Mini. It's just like, I didn't make a save state.
And it feels really weird playing on the SNES Mini because like I could just pause whenever I felt like, and my progress whenever I felt
save
like.
states.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, save states. And it was just like, oh, this certain situation that usually, like, oh, I don't want to play right now, or I'm kind of bored, and it takes me for to get to a save point. I can just stop it right here. The one thing that
Real quick, I have one last question I want to ask. So
yeah, I don't know if I've tested it out on this, but like, it's one of those games that I've played so many times. Like, I know this exploit, and I can make my character have a weapon he shouldn't have because I'm adjusting save state stuff like that, and it manipulates the save file and stuff. And it's like, how'd I learn this? I don't know. Probably Googled it about 15 years ago and still remember it.
Yep.
But one last question I want to ask is that there are certain times when I don't know what to play. I have no idea what to play. I'm just not in the mood for anything. Like my dear old friend who inspired this question. It's important to have constants. It's important to have games you can always go back to. I would say there are 2 games I can always play no matter what I'm in the mood for, and that's Gran Turismo Sport and Civilization. 6 or 5 or 6, it doesn't matter. Just Civilization is like, if I'm not in the mood for anything, I can always play Civilization. Do you guys is that Secret of Mana for you, John, or is there do you guys have something else?
No, I don't really know. It's not Secret of Mana. I can say that without.
Because I often have the question in my head of how do you define a favorite game? Is it the game that you can always play no matter what? Is it the game you only played once and you never want that memory to leave? It's so I'm just asking what's the one game? Is there a game that you can just always play no matter what?
Mine is easily probably. I mean, my top 3 I don't really have.
Doesn't sound like easily probably if you have to
down. Sorry,
pause.
My top 3 I have narrowed down. Twilight Princess I can play, one playthrough every year or 2. Knights of the Republic, like I said, I try and play it at least once a year.
But I mean, tomorrow, no rhyme or reason.
Easily,
not in the mood for anything. What are you popping in?
Probably do Pokemon Silver.
Ooh, interesting pick.
I was.
That's a good pick.
Pokemon Blue.
Honestly, Pokemon is a great pick because that's a game you can just, even if you're even if you've beaten the game, you can just go in you can just make so many objectives for yourself.
Exactly.
I want this Pokemon to be level 99, or this Pokemon doesn't know this move yet, so I need to get that that TM or whatever.
Exactly.
There's so many mini objectives you can set for yourself, even if you don't know where you are.
Playthrough, it's. When I go back into it, I try and do a team that I've never played with.
Yeah.
Or I'll pick one guy that I know I can play through and be fine, and then the rest it's I'll pick guys who are I'll make a team that's just C tier guys.
Or I love making random teams like some random goon in the anime would have or something. I love doing that. Role playing with your team building.
Yeah, or you do a certain type play.
Yeah,
you can play.
What if I'm a grass type gym leader?
Yeah,
what would that be?
You can play those games anyway, differently. You could literally
do a Nuzlocke run.
It's you can play them in a myriad of ways, and be satisfied each playthrough because they're so different. You've got to go out of your way to make them different, but
I actually recently went out of I actually recently popped in Let's Go Pikachu recently. Yeah. And it's just I actually like playing Pokemon, and that's why I know, even despite all the controversy and issues people might have with Sword and Shield, that's how I know I'm still gonna love that game.
Oh yeah,
it's because it's one of those games that's just I just feel like playing Pokemon. I'm gonna play Pokemon.
It's a Pokemon game. It's Pokemon for the sake of Pokemon.
Yeah, it ain't what. This is something I say in response to a lot of just people being confused about stuff. It ain't that deep, fam. Going back to Pokemon, it ain't that deep. I'm just going back because it's Pokemon.
Just never pick Bulbasaur.
Hey.
Always pick Bulbasaur.
I don't think I've ever done a
Say
Bulbasaur.
that to my face.
Bulbasaur's number 1 for a reason, bud.
I have played Blue so many. Yeah, because they made him number 1 because no one picked him.
'Cause
They
he's
were
the
like,
best.
I
"Oh, this is
did.
a reason
Because
to
he's the
have-"
best.
He's number 1 in my heart and number 1 in my deck.
We can all agree that Trico is the best starter, though, in general.
I think of the it's either Charmander.
Sounds like something.
I'm gonna have to say Totodile.
Wrap up what you're saying, John. Sorry.
Of the insane amount of time I played, I don't think I played Bulbasaur.
Well, you're just missing out. And we're going to wrap it up here. We're almost exactly 1 hour on the nose. So,
Oh, by the way, the hero. did
John, you
update
messed
in
up my
Smash.
timing!
Sorry, the hero updated in Smash.
Oh, it's there?
Yeah.
We'll wrap it
He's
up
out,
right
man.
now. Thank you for listening to RP Radio, episode number 3. If you've been listening all this time, thank you very much. Where can on Twitter, I forgot to ask this last time, where can you guys be found on Twitter? John, where are you?
I think it's John Baldacci _97, maybe.
Keegan? At
Mine's at Keegan Jin, underscores between key, underscore between Gon and Jin. Just look up Keegan with 1 E and you'll find me.
And I am at Wade Likes Pie on Twitter. That's my main account. Of course, you can also find the channel account at Rons_Pies. Thank you for listening. I should have a new video, 2 new videos after this week. A news video and a big ol' essay that I'm really proud of that brings up some really exciting new ideas and concepts that you may not have thought of before. I know I surprised even myself when I was writing it. Ooh, what could it mean? You'll have to find out. I'm sure that when you see the thumbnail, you go like, really? This is what you're talking about? But
Sounds like you're giving a Dragon Ball Z exit. What's gonna happen on the next episode?
well, if I was to do that, I'd be like, what's going to happen next time on RP Radio? But I'm just saying, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, let me know that you're listening. It makes me want to not stop doing this. So, yeah, like I said, thank you for listening. You guys have any final word? One word.
Hey, I will be 1 year older.
Wait, what?
I will be 1 year older the next time you hear from me
Oh, it's your birthday?
on Friday.
Oh, happy. I'll wish you happy birthday on Friday.
Sounds good.
John, one last thing.
Happy birthday, Keegan.
All right, that's your final word, John. Happy birthday. All right. Yeah, that's it from us. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.